Special Meeting of the Board of Equalization of Oklahoma County to order. Today is Monday, March 23rd, 2026. It is now 9:31 a.m. We have two members present, so we have a quorum. Mr. Brett Town.
Present.
And I'm Eleanor Thompson. And the assessor's office is present. Notice of this meeting was properly posted on March 16th and again on March 17th. We have 5 items on our agenda. The first one is being stricken. That was put there in error, and one person has requested to move to next Tuesday. Okay, so if we're going to go to item 2 on the agenda, which is BOE number 1, Warehouse 7 Revocable Trust, street address 3809 Preservation Road in Edmond. The account number is R219371380, and Mrs. Chandler Osborne is appearing.
Yes, ma'am.
Have you appeared in front of us before?
I know I have not.
Okay, here's how this goes. We're going to hear from you. This is an appellate review, so you've appealed what you could not settle at your informal with the assessor's office. So Brett and I will make a decision on what the proper valuation of your property is. We will hear from you first, then we'll hear from the assessor, and then we will give you the last word.
Okay.
The only information that we will receive, since this is an appellate review, is information that you've already made known to the assessor, unless you have some new and different information and they don't care. If they don't care if you give me something new, then we'll hear it. We will meet on Wednesday of this week and make our determination, and you'll be notified by mail.
Okay.
So probably Friday.
Okay.
You'll hear from us. Did I get everything? Okay. My record indicates that the assessor has valued your property at $1,050,000. You, however, think it should be valued at $899,500. My record further indicates that you purchased this house last April 25th, 25, and I have a sale of $1,050,000. Is all that information I just said correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I'll hear from you.
Yeah, so thanks for meeting with me today. I've compiled a list, that 899 number that I had referenced on the original submittal. This phase of the neighborhood, it was all built by Michaela Builders. Okay. And so that number came from our house plan, had been built actually 3 other times. 2 before us, 1 after us. Okay. Exact same floor plan. Of course, I mean, they look a little bit different. One's a farmhouse, one's modern, but
same square footage.
Same square footage, okay. Yes. And that 899 number was the average of the assessed values of the other 3 houses. It's called the Winchester plan. I would also, be willing to have a conversation of, if you included all of the houses in this neighborhood that are kind of this level, that yes. Being, they called it the estate lots. They were a little bit bigger, about twice as big of a lot. Square footage ranging from 2,778 to just about 4,200. That average dollar per square foot would give our house a value of $924,933. So I would understand if we maybe did not want to include just the 3 Winchesters, if you wanted to include all 18 other like houses in the neighborhood. Okay. That does, it raises it from $274.50 a square foot to $279.89 a square foot. Reason being for that, I'm well aware of our contract price that we bought our house for, and that's yes. What the value was assessed for. I find it hard to wrap around. Our dollar per square foot is significantly higher than everybody except for 1 house in the neighborhood. And our main reason for that was my wife and I, we've been planning our house for years before we actually got under contract with Caleb. And we had a lot that was included in our contract up front, a better air conditioning system, a lot of kitchen appliances that were above and beyond Whereas instead of doing a change order mid-process and changing the contract, or rather that would have not been seen on the contract price, we included everything up front, we planned. And so that's where we ended up with a large higher contract price than you might see our neighbors. One note that I looked into was, has everyone out here been assessed the value that they paid to Caleb when they bought their house? And that,
let me enter. How old is this neighborhood?
well, this is phase 7.
Oh.
This phase started a little around two years ago.
Okay.
But overall, I think the neighborhood started in about 2016, 2017.
Oh.
This is a little pocket of it. Yeah.
It started on Danforth and then went back. This is in the middle of the section, even north of Francis Tuttle.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. So I did go and look and see what people paid McCaleb versus what their houses were assessed for, and while some were like me, it is the same value. There is at least a handful among the entire neighborhood that have anywhere between as low as $9,500 less on their assessed value than what they paid McCaleb, or up to $135,000 less than what they paid McCaleb. So it doesn't seem to be very consistent with what you paid McCaleb versus what you were assessed. And I was hoping that we could look at this on more of a comp basis and take an average of something agreeable for the value of this in the neighborhood. We invested in this house heavily. I don't believe we could sell it for $1,051,000 today, just to be frank. But we put what we wanted in it because we want to stay here for 15, 20 years until our kid is off and gone to college. So
now, when you keep saying you want us to look at the average, the 924,933 was the average of 18 houses. Every time you say that, you're confining yourself to this last phase.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And I have a little map here, just if you want a visual. I'm a visual person,
sure.
So I have to.
What's the address of the house that was 135,000 less than sales?
3701 Community Cove.
Was that one of the assessor's comps?
So they paid $940,000, I believe, was what McCaleb had, and I can double check this just to make sure, but I believe their assessed value was closer to $805,000. So at $240 a square foot, that was one of the absolute lowest dollar per square foot that I could find.
What is the size of that house versus yours?
That house is listed as 9 square feet larger.
Just 9?
Yes, they're listed at 3343, and I am at 3324.
Okay. Okay, let's hear from the assessor.
3809 Preservation Row is the subject. The square footage that was just mentioned is 3,324 square feet. We did have the purchase in April 25th of 25 for $1,051,000, and we currently have it at $1,050,000. The reason why we denied it at the informal is there were upgrades that were already mentioned to the subject home that were not done to the 3 homes that were presented and that were wanting to be used as comps. Sell price, purchase price, that's very telling of what someone's willing to pay for a home. And it is a newer home, so it's very hard to ignore that purchase price. What he said is right. I mean, if you look at the 3 homes that he presented to us as comps, yeah, it is around the $899, $500, but he did mention that there were other upgrades to his home that weren't in these other 3. Therefore, we went with the purchase price to value the property.
What kind of upgrades are you referring?
So I don't know the entire detail. I know part of it was the kitchen, but I don't know the entirety of everything.
Do you have a pool?
Well, I do just want to correct one thing. I am unaware of what upgrades they may or may not have done. They could have done all of the same upgrades and done them as a change order, And that change order will not be reflected in their purchase price. I'm completely unaware. I just know that they are the same house plan at the same square footage is all I'm aware of.
Do you have a pool?
I do not.
Do any of these comps have pools?
Some do, but I did not take into account the cost of it. I noted it on my notes.
Okay.
So we didn't even run comps on this one.
Okay.
Because like I just mentioned, the 3 homes that he did provide as comps, they are very similar. But they definitely would have showed the 899.5 that he's asking for. So again, we just went with the purchase price. So that's really all I have on this one. We went with the purchase price.
Can you pull up that one comp that he listed, the 3701 common? It's a common code.
Community code.
Community code.
It was an invalid transaction. What's NI? Square footage is wrong.
It means wrong.
So in the listing compared to what we had, the square footage is incorrect.
Okay.
That was all. It is a valid sale. It should be for the 940.
Okay, that was my
Well,
question.
if we want to go to a different one, if you could go to 3616 Union Park Place.
3616 Union. Okay.
That one had a discrepancy of what they paid versus the assessed value of $120,500.
But how does that? All I was entertaining is this has nothing to do with the subject, in my opinion.
Oh, I feel it has everything to do with the subject. If
It's
you're
not
saying
what
that
you paid.
the
That's my
purchase
opinion.
price dictates cost, and these purchase prices are not.
I was in 2024. Page 715. We have it on for 691. It's about 300 square. 270 square feet smaller. They'll stand packed with the purchase price. That's where we stand on it.
So, Mr. Osborne, we give you the last word. So let me understand on the figures. On your paperwork, you have 899.5, but you can see that it could be as much as 940. No, 924,933.
I would need
The
to,
average of 18 houses.
with the correction that they just mentioned on that 3701, that number will probably increase slightly on the average. I need to re-average the numbers with that in there, but it would be less than our assessed value.
Right.
Either way, I would just be wanting to take a comp look at this, however it may be.
Okay. Brett? I'm good. Okay. Brett and I will decide on Wednesday
Okay,
and let you know. Thank you. So do you have more than one of those colored pens?
I do,
Yeah.
sure. And I'm just gonna mark on here that we found an error on this.
Did you want one, Brett?
Yes.
Can you give Mr. Brown?
Can.
Okay.
Well, technically, that's not information.
Oh,
I gave the same information to you as the same Google sheet that I submitted. The only thing I added was after we talked, I looked up the contract price versus what you've assessed on the website.
All I have is the 3 comps.
I attached a spreadsheet where it allowed me to on the submittal process.
Okay. Yeah, it is there.
okay. I'm gonna close the hearing on BOE number 1. And for the record, item 1 was stricken, which is the discussion and possible action regarding our minutes of March 16th and 17th. We did that at a prior meeting.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Okay, the next item on our agenda is BOE number 16.
Would you want to take the personal tier before we go to all the phones?
Oh, so number 3, so are we calling number 3?
We are.
What number is he?
He's-
5?
He
He's number
is
5.
Number 5.
You, Mr. Bailey?
Yes.
Okay, come forward. Were you in here when I explained our
To him?
procedure? Yes.
To him, yes.
Okay, so I don't need to repeat that. Okay.
Mine should be pretty short.
Okay, so we're gonna do BOE number 20, which is number 5 on our agenda. Owner's name is Robert Bailey. The street address is 14200 Kirkland Ridge, Edmond. Account number R 200-21-12-70. Okay, my records indicate that the assessor began with an assessment of $452,500 and lowered his assessment to $440,000. And you believe the correct assessment of your fair market value of your property is $433,450. Is that correct? Could you start out by telling me when you purchased your house and what the purchase price was?
We purchased two years ago in the fall, August, I think. And it
24?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was,
you got it.
actually, I have it, the sale was in 23 for
Okay.
431,000.
Yeah.
But August was right.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell us what you want us to know about your property.
Well, and I appreciate the informal hearing, lowering it, obviously from the 452 to the 440, and I think we're pretty close on that, coming to the 433, 450. I'm actually using all of their comps that they sent me after the informal hearing,
Yes.
because they were all very similar to the comps I had personally pulled, so there wasn't much discrepancy except for one property. That's the only issue that I have is the one property.
Which one is that?
It is on their it's property. Let's see. Do you want the address? 14404 Oxford Drive in Edmond. I got the count number or
No, that's
okay.
enough.
That's enough.
That's
Okay.
you think that's an incorrect, huh?
Right, well, it's 516,000 versus, which is probably somewhere around 18% higher than, 18 to 20%, depending on where mine ends up. And the rest of the comps, I think, are, in the ballpark, certainly not that big of a spread. And so I think it was an outlier that kind of bumped it up. Again, I think we're pretty close. I appreciate the process and bringing it down some, but one of the reasons is I want to get it down. So I know it's going to continue to go up over the years. I wanted to make sure it was down to the point where it was a good starting point. So that really is my only case and my only concern. So
Okay, let me just ask just a general question.
sure.
So, let's see, we're now 2.5 years beyond your purchase price, and you want us to value your property. Just barely $2,000 above, you think it's only appreciated $2,000?
I think that's consistent with the recent market.
Yes.
Now, obviously, it wasn't consistent with 5 years ago, but I think the recent market, I think that's closer to fair.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
The county increase, not this particular township, but in 24 and in 25, those 2 years, the average for the county was 8.33% increase.
Let's hear from the assessor.
The subject property is 14200 Kirkland Road. The square footage is 2,867 square feet. Our intersections here is North Bryant and East Memorial. All 6 comps were in 2025. Our median was 439,501, and then our mean was 443,195, which is why we did lower it. As you mentioned earlier, We did notice them at 452,500, and we did lower it to 440,000. The previous year it was 448,500, and then in 24 it was 437,000. So what was done at the informal, I completely agree with, and I would stick to that as well.
Respond to the use of 14404 Oxford Drive as a comp. You made adjustments, I'm assuming.
Yeah, so we have it up here. I understand where he's coming from. Maybe outlier as in like the purchase price, but it's actually one of the top two comparables. It's the second one on the list, which means it's very comparable with the least amount of adjustments to make it like the subject. I mean, the square footage, we're just going to round 300 square feet bigger, but we do make a negative 5.74% adjustment. Same quality, very close in age, very close in land square footage. And we can keep going, but in total, there's only about, a dollar number is a negative $32,183 from that purchase price, just with all the adjustments. Based on that, and then we've already lowered it. That's where we stand. I mean, I understand where he's coming from with that purchase price being there, but we make those adjustments accordingly based on the differences in the two properties.
Okay. Do you have a figure that you think is accurate if you eliminate 14404 as a comp?
Well, I think that's what I based the 433 to 450 on, was taking that out. And,
Okay. Okay.
Because it's like 70-something thousand higher than mine.
Okay. You good? Okay, you get the last word.
Okay, well, and I trust whatever you do on that issue. The only other thing is probably not as much for you, but for y'all, and I think I mentioned this at the informal, is the tax notice that I was sent. It highlights in two separate places that important information if you want to appeal. Well, this is the back of my notice. There is no information provided.
It happened on our first round, and we didn't know it until after they were all sent out.
Okay.
It did get corrected in the second round, so I do apologize for that.
Well, just wanted to make sure you're aware that
Yes.
we didn't have an avenue to do that. And as I get older and more senior, finding forms
Yes.
like this appeal form is extremely difficult.
Okay.
In fact, hard to find it all on the website. So anyway, that's just FYI.
Get a grandkid. They'll fix it.
Absolutely.
This is in Wellington Park.
Yes, Wellington Park. And the comp that they were discussing is actually outside of that, but it's a block away, but it's actually outside of our neighborhood. So.
Okay. Well, we're gonna meet and set the value on Wednesday, and you'll be notified by mail.
Thank you.
Okay. So I'm closing BOE number 20. And we'll now by phone move to BOE. Is this going to be Mr. Berkelli?
Yes.
Okay. Is this Mr. Berkelli?
Yes.
Hi, this is Mrs. Thompson calling you from the Board of Equalization for your hearing. How are you?
Pretty good. How are you doing?
We're doing fine. There are two of us here, Mr. Brett Town and I. And have you ever appeared in front of us before?
No, I haven't. This is the first time.
Okay, so this is how this works. This is an appellate review of your failure to reach an agreement during your informal with the assessor. So we're just going to look at what you presented and what they presented and figure out which one of you has the correct amount. And the assessor has you valued at $494,000. and you say that the correct assessment is $374,000. And we set the fair market value of the property, which is what a willing buyer and a willing seller would agree on, for purposes. We will not make a decision today. We will meet on Wednesday and we'll make a decision, and you will be notified by mail, so probably by Friday you will hear from us. And the way this goes is we'll hear from you first. You tell us why your property should be valued at $374,000. And then we'll hear from the assessor, and then we'll give you the final word. And any information you give us is gonna be limited to what you gave them, unless if you have new information, they don't mind if we consider it. Okay, so we'll hear from you. You could start by telling me when you purchased this property and for how much?
I purchased the home, May or June 2020 for $300,000.
Okay.
And I guess, do you want me to go ahead and start?
Yes,
Okay, do you have their, comps for their sales map?
yes.
They used 3 homes, so 3 of the 6 comps they used in Belle Isle, which Belle Isle is not the same as my home, which is north. Homes there are valued much higher than my home. My home's on 43rd, at the very bottom of Mayfair area,
Okay.
and homes in Belle Isle sell for, so 50% of their data and their adjustments are much higher valued than my home. And that is what's driving up the home costs and adjustments, along with every other home they're using is north of mine, which is a much nicer street. If you look at my house is on a Spruce Street on 43rd. I don't know if you've ever driven through there, but it's a lot of traffic, and you just get people walking down your street towards the apartment complexes. That's why I've had break-ins to the garage and cars in that lot, as well as the homes all surrounding it are much lower value than the homes in Belle Isle. I think the homes behind mine and next to mine are all valued at 200 and below. So they use just much higher home value prices than mine. And then I don't know if you guys got my comparative market analysis I had a realtor put together for me. I submitted. You guys have that information?
No.
I-
Do you have it?
I submitted it with my email. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It has 8 different home sales in 2025.
Okay.
And it just lists the median market price, the square footage of comparable home sales. And if you look at the average, it's around 309. And then the highest, 440. So that's saying the highest value it thinks the home could sell for is 434. I mean 438, which is still significantly lower than that 494. I mean, it's just, they value the home, they think it's in Nickel Hills of Belle Isle, and it's absolutely not.
Okay, so the eight that you used, none
We're
of,
kind of,
but wait a minute, none of them are in Belle Isle, is that correct?
no, they're all like Mayfair and below, which is a more accurate representation of. We just break up of my street in comparative homes. There's not homes on my street that are selling for. Belle Isle has homes that sell for 600,000 and more.
Okay, hold on just a second. So are we gonna travel up Penn, right? So am I starting north from 36 at Penn to get to your neighborhood?
Yeah, right by kind of where that
You know where, so are you where Brahms? Are you near the Brahms?
Yeah, so you go right past under the highway where they blocked off now,
Yes.
where all the homeless people were hanging out, and then to the left right there,
Okay.
that first street.
Okay, that's where you are. And what are you calling Belle Isle? Where does that neighborhood start?
It is almost to the left above Northwest Expressway.
Oh, that neighborhood. Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm with you.
I can get you the exact one. I'll tell you the exact street number. they're using 3 homes there, which the homes are really nice. Kind of above, so it's just all the area above Northwest Expressway, starting at like 54th and 55th Street, all the way up to 63rd. The homes they're using.
Okay.
And some of that is by Belle Isle Middle School area.
Yes. Okay. But your 8 homes are confined to Mayfair.
Mayfair and below. I have 1 home on 30th, 1 home on 18th. They were just similar square footage and bedroom stuff.
Well,
Just what my realtor put together.
that's pretty far away.
Yeah, you could cross that out if you don't.
Yeah.
It was just showing you recent home sales,
Okay. Okay.
but I have homes. Yeah.
Okay, so let's do it this way. You bought this house 5 years ago for 300,000, and you think that at this point it's 374,000. What was it last year? Did you feel last year?
No, because they raised the home value, I think $80,000. Let me see. I don't have the year by year breakdown.
We can ask the
I
assessor.
can
What
go
was
to
the,
the state website and look it up real quick.
No.
we can ask the assessor.
We'll ask the assessor. No. Let me hear from the assessor for a minute.
I'll answer y'all's question. Yeah, 2025 value was 453,500, and then in 24 it was 432,000. But I do need to address something. The appraisal or the stuff that you received from him, from his
Yes.
realtor, we did not get that.
Okay.
So we didn't have it in the formal.
I submitted it with my formal appeal paperwork and my email back to them. I submitted a PDF.
That's okay. But that's, otherwise, let's hear from the assessor. And you can hear that his main objection is the difference in what he thinks Mayfair and Belle Isle works.
Right.
Okay.
So first off, 2244 Northwest 43rd. Square footage is 2,135 square feet. Based on the 6 comps we provided, they all are 2025 sales with a median of 497, 349, and a mean of 486, 495. If taking what he just said, while he was talking, I looked at comps 1, 2, and 4, which are closer to him. That number and average there is 452,000.
It's nowhere near 3.
No. And that is taking 1, 2, and 4, and that is taking the adjusted sell price.
How much was it?
452,000. I'm rounding down. It was 288, but easy number. So even there, you can take that into consideration if you would like, but
Is 1, 2, and 4 limited to? Are 1, 2, and 4 limited to Mayfair?
they're closer to him. So if you see on the map here, 2 is just on the other side of 44, but 1 and 4 are right there in Mayfair, or pretty close to Mayfair.
Is the neighborhood stable enough that there are not very many sales within Mayfair?
There just wasn't that many in 25.
Okay.
Can I make a rebuttal to that?
Well, when he finishes.
Okay.
I mean, I understand where he's coming from. You know, if that was something that was driving the market, they are very comparable though, because we do make adjustments for that. However, I'm just taking into consideration what he mentioned, and I took those 3 that are closest to him, and that's what we get after we adjust it out. So, and that's pretty close to his value from last year, but nowhere near the 374,000.
Okay. So would you agree with me that one that's down to 18th Street, that's too far away to be used as a comp?
I'm not gonna say it's too far away. I mean, there are times we have to go that far.
Yes.
I just don't know how comparable it is. I'll say it that way.
Okay. So I'm back to you, sir. So now you can rebut.
Okay, were all the adjustments based on calculations of all the home values? Where you run the adjustments for the market prices, for your net adjustments, were based on the 6 home comparables?
No, you kind of. I'm gonna try to answer that. Is you make adjustments per house.
For each house to make it like the sub.
Okay. I guess my last argument would be for the 3 he used, those are just on, I would say 1 and 4 of those streets are much nicer than the 43rd. I don't know if you've ever driven down 43rd. Just the farther you go north on Mayfair, the nicer the area is and the comparable homes.
I can see there's a light at 36, correct?
Yeah,
And 39. And 39.
Yeah.
What is the street that you're saying has got all this traffic on it?
Well, 43rd is the only first street until you go north up to, I think it's 46. So just everyone's driving by your house.
Is 43rd north of the underpass?
Yeah, and then it's your first left.
Okay, I got you. Do you have any questions? Okay, you get your final word, and we'll meet on Wednesday and make the adjustments.
So I think even with his comparable, I think realistically the home price would be closer to 400 and trying to take out those and keep the county for the homes north of mine, which are just on, I think you just gotta take into consideration what street it's on and the comparables along those lines.
So can I?
Either way, with his comparables, it's still not the 494 number.
Okay, so let me ask again. I kind of asked before. So why did you not complain in 25 when the valuation was 450?
I guess I wasn't looking at how fast the homes were increasing at the 1.5%, 0.5%, how fast it's going to catch up to the market value.
Okay.
So it wasn't as big of a concern to me.
Okay. Okay. Well, I thank you for your time and your effort, Mr. Bertelli, and you will hear from us by mail. We'll make our decision on Wednesday, so maybe by Friday.
Okay. Thanks for the time.
Okay. I'm closing the hearing on BOE number 16, and we will now go to BOE number
21.
number 21 on Harness Court.
I do have a recommendation on this one. I don't know if you want me to go first on this one or not.
Okay. Wait, let me do my thing first.
Yeah, all good. Just letting you know.
What is it?
Mr. Hand?
Yes.
Hi, this is Ms. Thompson calling from the Board of Equalization at Oklahoma County. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Well, I'm a little annoyed because there's construction going on in the building, so we're hearing a bunch of children. So,
I can hear that.
But,
Well, construction's usually a good thing. That means a little bit of growth.
no, yeah, right.
It's a Monday, you know how
I know, and little critters come from the walls when that happens. But anyway,
yes, they do.
have you ever appeared in front of us before?
I have not.
Okay, this is how this works. This is we're opening the hearing on BOE number 21. The street address is 19613 Harness Court. The assessor began the valuation at $350,500, lowered it to $347,000. You think it should be valued at $299,000, and this is resident number 124722070. Now this, before what should happen is we're gonna hear from you first, then we'll hear from the assessor. We give you the last word. We meet on Wednesday. We make a decision and we send it to you in the mail. But the assessor has alerted me that he has a different offer to make. So before we put you through all of that, let's hear what he has to say.
So, I recommend that we put you on for the purchase at $299,000.
I don't guess you have any complaints back.
I would not have any complaints.
So I'd like to move on item 6, BOE 21, by mutual agreement of both parties that we set the fair market value of this property at $299,000.
I second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, how about that?
Well, I hope your noise level in the background clears up a little for you, and, thanks for such efficiency, and, you all have a good night.
Same to you. Bye-bye. Okay, so we're closing the hearing on BOE number 21, and that will be, does that bring us to the last item on the agenda? BOE number 22?
Well, we still need to strike number 4.
Oh, yes, item number 4, which is, account number R034595280, the, Jason and Catherine Nations Revocable Trust. It is stricken today and moved till next Tuesday. Okay, all right, that leaves the last item for us to decide is BOE number 22. And I think I'm gonna speak to an Adam Smith.
Okay, this is Kathy.
Is there an Adam Smith there?
Yes.
This is Eleanor Thompson calling from the Board of Equalization of Oklahoma County for his hearing.
Oh, hi. Yes. For the, I think that was the property on 13th.
Yes,
Okay, and I'm sorry. What was your first name?
Eleanor.
Eleanor. Okay. Let me get you transferred over to him. Okay.
Okay.
Estate planning is a vital aspect of every individual and family's finances. Our firm provides consultation on estate matters, living trusts, wills, living wills, and insurance matters. Find out more when we return. It could make a difference in estate taxes and will help you avoid probate.
This Adam.
Is this the Adam Smith?
This is the Adam Smith.
Is this the economist Adam Smith?
Well, the economist Adam Smith lost his invisible hand,
I know.
so now I'm just a boring accountant.
Okay.
It was a cool economist. Now I've got my pen key and my pencil out.
Okay.
I just keep working on tax returns. How are you?
We're doing great. So in case you hear the noise, there's a lot of drilling going on. It's somewhat annoying. But have you ever appeared in front of us before?
I've done protests before.
Okay, so you know the drill. We get to hear from you first. This is an appellate review, so you're not throwing any new information at us today unless the assessor doesn't care, at which point we will consider it if it was something you didn't give to them at your informal. And we will then hear from them, then you get the last word, and Mr. Town and I will meet on Wednesday and make a decision as to what we think the correct fair market value of your property is. And you will be notified by mail, so probably by Friday or Saturday you'll hear from us. And for the record, this is BOE number 22, street address 220 East 13th Street in Edmond. And the number is R124722070. My records indicate that the assessor has this property valued at $246,000. You, however, would just like to have it valued at $200,000, and you have an issue with comps. Okay, so let me hear from you.
So I have in front of me the 2026 residential sales comparable report, and I'm looking at comparables number 1 through number 4. Comparable number 1 was a house that was 1,196 square feet, so it's 250 square feet smaller than mine. So it would have a higher price per foot. But if you were to look at comparables number 2, number 3, and number 4, those would be an appraisal rate situation. really good homes that are within, you know, about 25 to 75 square feet subject property. So when you compare all four of these side by side, comparable number one is really a strange outlier. Significantly smaller, and I would argue that, you know, in most appraisals, there's no need to have four comps. Let's just look at the three that are more comparable with the subject property. So I would look at numbers 2, 3, and 4. And if you focus on the sales price per square foot on 2, 3, and 4, you'll see 154 a foot, 141 a foot, and 143 a foot for comparable 2, 3, and 4. 154, 141, and 143. And the county has assessed mine at 170 a foot. And if you look at the bottom, they have this adjusted sales price where they have jacked up my price per foot.
Jacked?
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Just kidding. Okay.
Okay. So they've jacked mine up to 185, 166, and 189. And what I realized, the big difference here is they are making a huge adjustment based on age. My house is 56 years old.
Okay.
And the appraiser is saying because these comps are 67, 69, and 70, that causes a almost $30 per foot increase because my house is so much more valuable at 56 years old versus like 67, 69 years old. I've never seen an adjustment that big for a 56-year-old house. Like, I don't think most buyers look at a 56-year-old house as being 20% more valuable than a house that's 67 years old. Would not be right.
Have you had any renovations to the house? Because that would change the.
That's my. Oh, go ahead.
That would change
I have made
the age that it would be presented at.
renovations at all.
Do you live in this house?
No, ma'am. This is a rental property.
And what does it rent for?
$1,650 a month. Sure. Came up with that off the top of my head.
So you said there's no
You said none whatsoever. You didn't say major. You just said no renovations whatsoever.
I have made none.
Okay. Where I wonder if there were any made before you purchased. Are you aware of any renovations?
So the only renovations that have been done is the kitchen does have some upgraded cabinets and granite countertops.
Okay.
And then the bathrooms also have granite countertops. And I'm not sure on y'all's end if you're able to do this, but I pulled up on Zillow all four of these houses. And I avoided comp one because that one to me just feels silly. I feel 2, 3, and 4 are the best ones. And I feel like if you guys put all of those side by side and said, okay, all four of these houses are on the market at the same time, my house would probably sell last. If you were to look at the one that's most important, I think is 316 East 14th Street, which it sold for $154 a foot. It is nice, really nice. Brand new floors, brand new kitchen, brand new tile, upgraded bathrooms. Like, it would sell in a second. Mine would definitely not. Mine's kind of an ugly brown paint. Does not have as nice upgrades. Same thing with 340 East 14th Street. It has nice new paint, newer floors, upgraded kitchen, updated bathroom, and it sold for $141 a foot.
Let me ask you, when did you buy this house?
That is a good question. I would say it was maybe 4 to 5 years ago, but I can tell you for sure in about 20 seconds.
And tell me what you paid for it.
Okay, I purchased this house for $171,000 in August of 2020.
Okay. Let me hear from the assessor. Rick, can you do the 8% increase?
Yeah, I can do
And, okay, we're gonna hear from the assessor.
Okay.
The square footage of the subject property is 1,000 feet. The address of this is 220 East 13th Street. We noticed them at 246,000, and that is currently that value at 246,000. Your major intersection here is East 15th Street and South Boulevard. The comps that you see here are actually the ones that were provided by them. We had 6 comps that were provided. We were unable to use 2 of them due to one of them being a 26 sale. And then the 1301 Frontier Lane that was provided was a distress sale, sold under market because it needed a lot of updates. So the 4 that were presented are the ones that we could use from the ones that were provided from them. So that's why we went with them. They were actually pretty good ones compared to what we could find. So we went with those 4. The median supports 259,370. The mean was 258,205.
And the max was 273,175.
Yep.
Can you tell me when this house was built, the year it was built?
Yeah, the year built was 1954, and there was a remodel prior to his purchase. It was in 2020. We had a 25% remodel on that.
What was the tax value last year?
The taxable
Yeah,
or the market?
Market value, I'm sorry.
Okay. I didn't write that down. Can you pull that up for me? Previous values. Last year was 242,500, and then in 24 it was 241,500.
Okay, thank you.
And that's all I have.
To clarify, that's wrong. 216 Tullahoma is not one of my comps. I'm looking at my sheet, that was not on there. And you mentioned remodel in 2020. If that's true, I don't know where he's getting that, because on the county assessor's page, there's no building permit at all. There's no building permit records returned. I see no indication of a remodel on the county assessor page.
Okay, you didn't put the granite anywhere in the house. Is that a correct statement?
That's correct, I did not.
But it's there. And would you agree that the granite was not there when that house was built in 1954?
Oh,
Right.
Okay, so somebody did an upgrade on the house at some point, right? And the issue is
I would assume. I mean, I don't know that for sure. I know the county assessor does not show the new building permits were pulled on this house since 1950.
okay, but would you agree that when you start with the year a property was built, that is not the age of the house if there have been improvements made on it?
That's true. I would agree.
Let's
with
let
that.
the assessor address
I'm
that.
trying to keep in perspective that the county is saying my house is worth 170 a foot and it just has some granite.
Okay.
Versus 316 East 14th is sold for 154 a foot and 320 East 13th sold for 141 a foot.
Okay, that's
big disparity there.
We have.
Okay. One, I did want to. Yes, I'm sorry about that. I read it as the 216. I read your 219. I just flipped the number. That's my bad. But the remodel, we got that from the MLS listing with all the work that was done, what it used to look like versus when we had that listing in 2020. Whoever looked at that sale, that's what warranted adding a remodel to that. Now, should they have pulled a permit? Absolutely. But depending on what work was done, it may not have required one. But based on that MLS listing,
I don't know of any information that it was done then. It could have been done in 2000.
It doesn't matter, does it? It matters that it was done at all, which would adjust the age of the house.
But if we're assessing it as of today, and we're going to compare my house to 316 East 14th or 340 East 14th, if you look at the MLS listings, there's no one on earth that would pick my house over those two. Those two would sell 10 times over before mine. They're way nicer.
We're also not accounting for what you just told us either. So you do have that going for you. I mean, yours is updated. Obviously, we have that proof. You've said it, and we have the MLS listing from 20. That's why you have a different effective age there. These other properties, they haven't sold. We don't have a permit, so we don't know if they have been remodeled. If they have, we haven't seen it yet.
You said
So
you use MLS pictures. Let's use
Well,
MLS pictures. You say you don't know. You will know. If you only know mine's remodeled to the MLS pictures, look at the MLS pictures for 316 East 14th and 340 East 14th. Those MLS pictures will show you at the time when those sold for 154 a foot and 141 a foot, they look way better than mine. Like not even close.
I haven't seen
154 and 141 a foot, but mine's worth 170. That does not compute in my brain.
Anything for the food revenue? Okay, we're gonna meet on Wednesday and make our decision, and you will hear from us by mail.
Thank you.
All right, gonna close the hearing on BOE number 21, and that will do it for our agenda for today. And, so we're gonna meet at 9:30 on Wednesday. And what do we have going so far for next week, or do we need to just wait till Wednesday to discuss that?
You're here on Wednesday?
Yes.
Okay. If
Yeah,
there's
it was Friday, she wasn't. Okay,
no other business, I move to adjourn.
I second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay.